You're not lazy. You're just afraid. You're not unmotivated. You're just overwhelmed by your own doubts. And while you sit there, thinking, questioning, hesitating, your future quietly slips through your fingers. But there's good news. Fear only controls those who wait, because fear ends the moment you act. This is not a message about motivation. This is a wake-up call. Because if you're waiting to feel ready, you're already behind. So today, we break that cycle. We destroy hesitation. We force action, even when we don't feel like it. Because you don't need more time. You need a decision. And this is where it begins. We've all been taught one dangerous idea, that we should wait to feel inspired before we move. That we should wait to feel confident, to feel excited, to feel prepared. But here's the brutal truth. Motivation is a trap, and waiting for it is how most people waste their entire lives. Because action doesn't start with motivation. Motivation starts with action. This is where most people get it wrong. They sit still, scroll endlessly, searching for a spark, hoping some video, some quote, some moment will light a fire inside them. But fire doesn't come from watching. It comes from doing. It comes from movement, from friction, from the decision to act even when you don't feel like it. That's why the people who move early, before they feel ready, before they feel motivated, they always end up ahead. Because they understand something most never learn. The mind doesn't control action. Action controls the mind. It's not inspiration, action. It's action, inspiration. That's the formula. You see, motivation is emotional weather. It changes. You might feel pumped at 9 a.m. and drained by noon. You might wake up inspired one day and hopeless the next. So if you build your goals around feeling ready, you've already lost. But if you build around discipline, you become untouchable. Because discipline doesn't ask, do I feel like it? It just says, it's time. And then it moves. Think about every big achievement in your life. Was there really a perfect moment that made it happen? Or did it begin with a single decision? A messy first step, a small, uncomfortable push that started something bigger? That's the pattern. You move first. Clarity comes later. Confidence comes later. Motivation always comes last. Napoleon Hill knew this. He spent decades studying the most successful minds in history, and he discovered something shocking. None of them waited. They acted, even in doubt, especially in fear. They knew that hesitation is a killer, that overthinking is a prison, that waiting for motivation is just a socially acceptable form of procrastination. Let's be honest. The voice in your head that says, I'm not ready yet, it's lying to you. It's trying to keep you comfortable, to keep you safe, to keep you exactly where you are, even if that place is destroying you. But the truth is, comfort kills ambition. Comfort is the enemy of growth. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another inspirational reel. You don't need someone to tell you you're great. You need one thing, a moment of courage, a split second where you override your feelings, where you silence the doubts, where you tell your brain, we're doing this now, and you move. That's the shift. That's where everything begins. The problem is never motivation. It's misunderstanding how human beings work. We don't think our way into action. We act our way into thinking differently. When you get up, when you make the call, when you hit record, when you send that message, when you build, even if it's small, even if it's messy, you start to build identity. Even if it's just writing one sentence, even if it's just putting on your shoes, even if it's just turning off your phone for 10 minutes, These are not small acts. These are declarations. You're telling the world, I've started. You start to believe, I'm the kind of person who moves, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching. And that belief, that's worth more than all the motivation in the world. So if you're tired of waiting, if you're sick of living the same day over and over, saying maybe tomorrow while your life slips away, do something, anything. Open the document, walk out the door, make the call, write the first line. Don't wait until it's perfect. Don't wait until you feel something magical. That feeling isn't coming, but if you move, it will find you. That's the lie of motivation. And now that you see through it, you are no longer its prisoner. Fear. It shows up quietly at first, a whisper, a pause, a second guess. Then it grows into hesitation, into self-doubt, into full-blown paralysis. And before you realize it, you've built a life around it. A life ruled not by who you could become, but by what you're too afraid to face. Fear wants you to believe it's protecting you. That staying still means staying safe. But the truth? Staying still is the most dangerous thing you can do, because the longer you wait, the more you teach your mind that fear has power. You let it anchor your feet while your future floats further away. You don't need to defeat fear. You just need to disrupt it, to break its rhythm. And you do that with one thing: movement. Not the perfect plan, not the magical moment, just motion, even if it's messy. Fear feeds on delay, but it deeds in momentum. Let me tell you about a man named Edwin C. Barnes. He didn't have a title. He didn't have money. He didn't even have a real opportunity. But he had a decision, a choice, to stop waiting and start moving. He had one dream: to work with Thomas Edison, not for him, but with him as a business partner. Sounds impossible? It was, until he made it possible. He didn't write a letter. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't overthink. He bought a freight ticket, the only one he could afford, and showed up at Edison's lab uninvited. His words, "Mr. Edison, I have come to go into business with you. No guarantees, no backup plan, just bold movement in the face of fear." Did he get the job? No, not at first. He was offered a low-level position, cleaning, errands, background work. But Barnes didn't care, because unlike the thousands who hoped to work with Edison, he was already in the building, and he stayed. He learned. He waited in motion. Years later, Edison launched a new invention. Barnes saw the opportunity and seized it. He became Edison's partner, just as he envisioned. That's the power of movement. It doesn't just change your outcome. It changes your identity. Barnes wasn't fearless. He was unwilling to stay frozen. And that made all the difference. See, the reason fear feels so powerful is because you've never stepped through it. You've stood at the edge of it, stared into it, built stories around it. But you haven't moved through it. Fear loses 90% of its weight when you move. You see it for what it really is: an exaggerated ghost fueled by inaction. Try this. Think of the last time you finally did something that scared you. Maybe it was a speech, a business launch, a breakup, a conversation you avoided. What happened right after you did it? The tension, it dropped. The fear, it faded. The moment, it passed. And most importantly, you grew. That's the truth fear hides from you. You were never powerless. You were just still. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You need to move forward while afraid. That's called courage. And it's built in motion, never in stillness. Because when you act in the presence of fear, you take back the steering wheel. You tell your mind, Yes, I feel afraid, but I move anyway. That's how you build self-respect, not from comfort, but from confrontation. Think about this. How many things has fear already stolen from you? How many opportunities passed while you stood still? How many dreams drifted because you couldn't take the first step? Now ask yourself the real question. Are you willing to let that continue? Because if not, the antidote is simple. Take the next step. Any step. Say the words. Make the call. Start the draft. Turn on the camera. Stand up for yourself. Walk into the fire. Yes, your heart will race. Yes, your voice may shake, but you'll walk through it. And when you do, you'll realize it wasn't fear that stopped you. It was waiting. And now that waiting is over. Procrastination. It's the silent killer. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Not now. Tomorrow will be better. You just need more time, hell. And it feels harmless. Until one day, you look back and realize you've spent years stuck in the same place. Here's the brutal truth. You are not running out of time. You're leaking it. Every delayed decision, every avoided task, every "I'll do it later" is a crack in your future. And the cracks always grow until the whole structure collapses. We procrastinate not because we're lazy, but because we believe the lie. I need to feel ready. I need the perfect plan. And I need the right mood. But perfectionism is just procrastination in a nice suit. Waiting to feel confident? That's just fear wearing a different mask. The truth is this. Clarity doesn't come before action. It's earned through it. So how do you kill procrastination? You start badly. You move awkwardly. You build imperfectly. You don't wait for inspiration. You manufacture it with motion, and you start with something so small, so stupidly simple, that your brain can't say no. That's where the 5-minute rule comes in. Here's how it works. Tell yourself, I'll just do this for 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure to finish. No pressure to succeed. Just start. Why? Because starting is the hardest part, not the work, the resistance. That mental wall you've built in your mind. Once you push past it even for 5 minutes, your momentum takes over. Ever notice how once you start, you tend to keep going? That's momentum at work. That's your nervous system adjusting. That's your mind finally realizing, oh, this isn't that bad. You're not procrastinating because the task is hard. You're procrastinating because you built it up in your head as a monster. But most monsters look small when you get close. So let go of the fantasy that everything needs to be perfect. Let go of the belief that your first draft needs to be good. Let go of the toxic idea that delay is preparation, because it's not. You don't rise by waiting. You rise by stacking messy steps, one on top of the other, one day at a time. Here's a secret most people never learn. One imperfect action beats 100 perfect intentions every single time. And if you failed before, that's okay. It's not the failure that defines you. It's the fact that you're still here, still listening, still searching. That means the fire hasn't gone out. It just needs fuel. And today, this is your spark. You don't build greatness by being flawless. You build it by being consistent, by showing up, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching. Especially then. Want to destroy procrastination for good? Then start building systems, not goals. Anyone can set a goal, but only the committed build a process, a schedule, a time block, a non-negotiable daily habit. When you create a system, you remove the need to decide. You just show up. You just execute. You go from thinking to building, from emotion to automation. That's how the pros do it. That's how you become unstoppable. And don't forget, your environment matters. You cannot ou discipline constant distraction. Turn off notifications. Clean your workspace. Set one clear task and shut out the noise. Because procrastination isn't just mental. It's environmental. Control the space. Control the focus. Control the outcome. Accountability helps too. Tell someone what you're doing. Track your progress. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Because once it leaves your head, it becomes real. We break promises to ourselves all the time. But we rarely break them when someone else is watching. Use that. So let's recap. You don't need a miracle. You don't need motivation. You don't need more time. You need a tiny win. You need 5 minutes. You need one small move. You need to prove to your brain that you are no longer someone who waits. Because the moment you stop delaying, you stop decaying. And the moment you move, even just a little, is the moment your future starts building itself. Discipline. The word alone feels heavy, rigid, strict, even cold. But what if I told you that discipline isn't about chains, it's about wings? Because the truth is, discipline doesn't limit your life, it frees it. It frees you from emotional chaos, from inconsistency, from regret. It gives you something most people never find: control. Let's be real. You've tried living by motivation. How's that working? Some days you crush it. Other days you disappear. You make plans at night and break them by morning. Why? Because feelings aren't stable. They change with the weather, with your sleep, with your blood sugar, with a single comment from someone online. You cannot build greatness on a foundation that's shaky. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for your mood. It simply says, this is who I am, and this is what I do. That's why it works. Because it removes the decision. It ends the debate. You don't try to show up. You don't hope to stay focused. You just do. And that quiet certainty, that's what separates those who dream from those who dominate. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about repetition. You don't need to be amazing today. You just need to be consistent. You build confidence not by doing it perfectly, but by doing it anyway. When it's hard, when it's boring, when it's raining, when no one's clapping, every single time you show up, you're sending a signal to your brain. I can trust myself. And that trust, that's the seed of unshakable confidence. Here's what most people get wrong. They think freedom means no structure, no rules, no routine. But that's not freedom. That's chaos with a smile. True freedom is this: the ability to choose the hard thing on purpose because it aligns with who you want to become. That's freedom, to lead your own mind, to choose long-term reward over short-term relief, to live life on your terms, not your impulses. And yes, it's hard at first. Waking up early, saying no when others say yes, training when you're tired, sticking to the plan when nobody would blame you for quitting. But let me ask you this: is it harder than living with regret? Is it harder than starting over again? And again? And again? Is it harder than looking in the mirror and seeing someone you no longer believe in? Because that's what the lack of discipline costs you. Your identity, your respect, your fire. And it's not just about productivity. It's about pride. It's about walking through life knowing you have command over yourself, that no matter what comes, you will show up. You will execute. You will not fold. That's rare. That's real. That's powerful. So how do you build it? You start small. You tell yourself, I wake up at 6. and you do it. I write 200 words, and you do it. I won't scroll until this task is done, and you honor it. Not because someone is watching, not because it's fun, but because it's who you said you are. That's how warriors are built. One kept promise at a time. One invisible victory stacked on the one before it. Until one day, you no longer ask, can I? You just do. Discipline becomes your default, and emotion no longer runs your life. Let the world chase comfort. Let them seek hacks and shortcuts and dopamine. You chase growth. You seek the edge. You build under pressure. You thrive in repetition because you know the truth. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. It's not a cage. It's a crown. And once you wear it, you don't just move different. You live different. You've listened long enough. You've consumed enough. You sat still long enough. And now, the real test begins. Not in how much you've heard, but in what you're finally willing to do. The hard truth? Nothing changes until you move. You can think. You can dream. You can plan and plot and prepare, but none of it matters until you act. That's the price of transformation. Execution. And it's not sexy. It's not always fun. It's rarely convenient. But it's the only way forward. Look around your life. What do you see? Goals or graveyards? Ideas buried in notebooks? Projects half finished? Dreams shelved for later? Here's the part that stings. Later is where potential goes to die. You don't need more time. You need more truth. The truth is, you've been lying to yourself, telling yourself you're waiting for clarity, when really you're avoiding discomfort, telling yourself you're almost ready, when really you're just afraid, telling yourself life is too complicated, when really you've just been choosing distraction over discipline. No more lies, no more waiting, no more pretending. The life you want, it's on the other side of this exact moment. The version of you who finishes what they start, who builds relentlessly, who no longer folds under pressure. That version is not fiction. They already exist. They're built in the minutes you want to skip, in the discipline you don't feel like having, in the reps no one applauds. This moment right here, it's not just another motivation clip. It's not background noise for your to-do list. It's a crossroad, a line in the sand. On one side, the life you've settled for. On the other, the life you're meant for. And the only way across? Action. Real action. Daily. Disciplined. Non-negotiable. So what will it be? Will you keep running in circles? Keep replaying the same excuses? Keep letting another version of you win? The lazy you, the distracted you, the scared you? Or will this be the day that you finally rise? Because no one's coming to save you. No one is going to force you to rise. No one will drag you across the finish line. You are the only one who can save your life. It's your voice that must change. Your standards. Your rhythm. Your choices. There is no cheat code. No shortcut. No comfort route. Only action. And it starts today. Here's the cost of greatness. You have to do it when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're uninspired, when no one believes, when it feels unfair, when no one claps, when you're scared, when it's raining, when everything in your body screams later, and you still do it. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. Your excuses have had their time. They've ruled your calendar. They've stolen your confidence. They've hollowed out your dreams. But not anymore, because now you know better. And when you know better, you must do better. So stop performing for the world and start performing for the future you, the one who deserves more, The one who's been waiting behind the noise. The one who's watching what you do right now. Don't you get it? This isn't just another day. This is the moment when you either shift or repeat. This is the moment you stop collecting advice and start building discipline. This is the moment you finally earn the life you talk about. So, what are you waiting for? Hit publish. Show up to the gym. Block your distractions. Build the habit. Make the call. Write the page. Launch the business. Say the truth. Stand in the fire. Do the hard thing. Do the right thing. Do it now.